Hi, this is Ife of Ife368 TV and I am back with another video. Today I'm going to do the Q&A. I asked you questions a few weeks ago. I'm going to answer your questions. But before we get started, I want you to hit that like button and let's get this video to 32 likes and hit that subscribe button and let's get more subscribers. Alright, so you'll post your questions. I'm going to be reading, so... Oh, wait, before I even get started. Okay, so I'm obviously going to do a pre-recorded video. I asked you in that previous video if you want a pre-recorded video, if you want a live video. And well, I'm doing a pre-recorded because China. Oh. I tested a live video and the quality was so poor. I don't talk about this much because it's just part of life living in China as an expat. However, using the internet, especially if you want to use things that you are used to in the West, for example, in China, there's no Google, no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram, no YouTube. Yeah, all those are blocked in China. So think of China as having a great firewall that surrounds China. We can't get access to those websites. If you use something called a VPN, you can get access, which is what I have to use, which is what most expats have to use when they're living in China and you want a normal life. When it comes to live video, I did not anticipate this. I tested it out and it's really difficult because I have to go use the VPN to get through the firewall to get to YouTube. So by the time I get to YouTube on the live video, the feed is poor, it's slow, it's grainy, it's a mess. So I'm going to try another way. Possibly I'm going to use an app called You Now, which I've sort of tested already, and I'm going to post a link to You Now as well in the description box, and hopefully you join me and I'll give you a date for when we can do a live video, which I'll probably do when I'm about 5,000 subscribers, so you can look out for that. The other option I have for a live video is if I go to another country to do a live video, which is, I don't know when that's happening, soon maybe. I know a lot of you said you wanted a live video. I will deliver on that live video, don't you worry. Either I'm going to use another app or when I'm in another country, wherever that might be sometime soon. Let's get to these questions. All right, so this is from Nazria NT. Oh, wait. She's from Cameroon in Africa. She wants to know if it's really necessary to sleep with a headscarf to retain length. I use a satin scarf. I would say yes, because it helps with retaining moisture. You know, our curly hair, it needs a lot of moisture. It needs help. It's fragile. Some people think it's tough. No, it's actually fragile. It needs extra TLC, extra love, and the satin scarf will do that for you. Give your hair a little bit of extra TLC. All right, so she asked about tangling versus combing your hair. She prefers combing but needed my advice. I did a whole video on finger detangling, and for me, some people are different. Some people are okay with a wide tooth comb and it works for them. For me, finger detangling has been the best way so far, and so you have to sort of gauge for yourself which one you prefer and which one's best. So the next one I have here, my country has an equatorial climate. It's hot and humid. What kind of advice can you give concerning washing routines, oils to use? Thank you very much. All right, so summertime in China is actually, well, some provinces in China, it's very humid. The Bahamas is very humid. Trinidad is extremely humid as well. I sort of have experience with it. Unfortunately, summertime is when I want to have my hair out at least. It's also the time when my hair tends to swell rapidly from attracting a lot of moisture from the air because it's so humid. The thing about curly hair and densely curly hair in humid weather, keeping it off your back and off your skin, that's what it's trying to do when it starts to take in moisture. But you asked about maintaining it. I would say try your best to minimize having your hair open, and also it's very hot, so you want to reduce moisture loss. So keeping your hair in a low manipulation style or protective style, whether braided or plaits or cornrows or twists, you want to do those especially in the summertime so your hair is not exposed too much to the heat. Also try to use hats. Very few naturals I hear them talking about this in the summertime or humid weather. Try to use a hat to protect your hair from the extreme heat and moisture loss. That's something that I would suggest to you. Also, because I know some naturals, you want to enjoy your length. So in the day, you can keep your hair braided or in plaits or whatever. But in the evening time, that's when I think, well, you can have your hair out. You can have it. You can really enjoy it. It might still be humid, but you're not exposing your hair to the extreme heat. In the summertime too, I would wash my hair much more often, but I would use more oils instead of shea butter. All right, somebody wants to know my skin regimen. Share your skin regimen Regimen with us, and I already shared one of the ways that I take care of my skin, and I use a turmeric mask, which I already have on my channel. You can look it up. I'll also post a link as well below so you can find it. I use a turmeric mask more in the Bahamas. So I've been here in China. I've more been using an aloe mask, my own little thing, because I have an aloe plant here. So, you know, I use my fresh aloe. I'll do a video for you guys on that. Will you return to Trinidad? And if yes, when? So, am I going to return to Trinidad? Yes, someday. The last time I was there was 2015. I was there for a month in Trinidad in June, July 2015. And that was pretty cool. I had a good time. Yes, I plan to come back. Yeah. Okay, so what do you like to do in your spare time? Is this like a dating question? I like to salsa dance. Latin dance. So I go to there's a city nearby that's about a 1 hour by train. I go there to Latin dance on weekend. How long before you noticed your hair began to grow? Maybe it took about a year before I noticed it started growing, because I hadn't noticed for myself on my own actually. A lot of my family members and my friends my family members always see me, but then one day I think usually I had my hair in plaits or braids, and one day I had it out and they were like, whoa, where do you get all that hair from? I really didn't think my hair was that long, because remember, they weren't used to seeing my hair in an unprotected style. They weren't used to seeing it like this, open and out. When they saw it, they were really shocked, and that's when I realized, like, oh, maybe it is growing. And then my friends who started to see me after a few years, they were like, whoa, what are you doing with your hair? And they started to ask me for tips. That's when I started to realize, like, okay, something's happening with my hair. And someone asked, I'd like to learn more about your experience living in China, as well as your diet. What do you eat in a typical day? China is it's different. It's a different way of life. When I first moved to China, I used to have some vlogs on my channel, which I kind of removed because I wanted to keep this more hair related channel. I'll probably do a separate channel for vlogs so you can see more of my life here soon, but y'all don't watch those sometimes. Y'all make me feel like, geez, all this work and no, there were some loyal watchers for my vlog. I'm sorry that I stopped. Geez, I feel as though I put out all this work and not that many views. I mean, I want to see some results from my effort. But living in China, when I first moved here, I was in a different city, close to a place called Wuhan. I felt kind of like an alien there because it was a small village outside of a bigger city, and they weren't used to seeing foreigners. They weren't used to seeing foreigners, one. They weren't used to seeing foreigners of a darker complexion. I've kind of felt like an alien. Sometimes I wondered, am I really from planet Earth? Am I wrong? Like, the way they stared at you, sometimes they'll whip out their phones, like taking pictures in my face. At first, it was like, oh, I felt like a celebrity, like, oh my gosh, everybody's taking pictures of me. But after a while, when you're trying to have dinner or trying to have lunch, you kind of don't want a camera in your face 24/7. It's not fun. It was difficult at first. That aspect was difficult. The food, I adjusted to the food quickly. I loved it. I love the food here in China. It's really delicious. I made friends really quickly. That's the thing about China. You make friends very quickly here. Learning the language is not that difficult if you have friends who are willing to help you learn it. You can get by if you know certain things. So for me, example, like when I first got here, I really made sure that I learned numbers. I knew I can negotiate when I'm in a shop, because you know they don't like to put prices on anything, and then they call any price for you and they see you're a foreigner. I was like, oh really? Then cut their price in half and then cut that in half. So basically, yeah, I had to negotiate a lot, and I still do that too. So that was my first city that I moved to. The second city that I moved to was current city I live in now, which is Weifang. It's in Shandong province. I love the city a lot more. People are friendlier, cleaner, warmer. The weather's colder here, but the infrastructure, the heating is a lot better in this apartments. My first apartment, this one is a really nice one. It's modern, everything, all the amenities. It's really good. So your experience in China really differs based on where you live. Maybe there should be a totally separate video what it's like living in China, because there's so much to talk about and so much to really expand on. All right, but overall, living in China, I really enjoy it. Cost of living is low. What do I eat in China? I cook most of my meals, but if I go out or sometimes on a lunchtime, if I don't come home, which is usually a wrap on or a wheat wrap, and it's really delicious. Someone asked, how did you end up in China? I ended up in China because my spouse was moving here to do his PhD. I had a couple options. to move back to Trinidad, which is what I had thought I would do in the first place, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ready for this huge transition to leave, because I had already left Trinidad, moved to the Bahamas. I had to assimilate into their culture. That transition was not the best. I already had to adjust to that. And I think when I had now really started getting into the groove of things, we had to move again. Yeah, so my option was to go back to Trinidad, which is what I was contemplating at first. And then obviously my second option was to go back to go to China. I'm like, man, I don't want to lose out on this opportunity, you know, to experience a new culture. That's when I started to look for a job. Got a job really quickly. Within the space of maybe a week or two of looking, I got a job. And then, boom, 3 months later, I'm in China. So that's how I ended up here. All right, someone asked about my braces. I did an update on that as well, so you can look at my channel for that. My girl SGIP asked, are you going to do any more vlogs? As I said, I'm contemplating doing a separate vlog channel. I want to know from you. Post in the comments below, if I start a separate vlog channel, will you watch? She also asked, you've probably covered this in previous videos, but what do you do and how does your work influence how you wear your hair? I'm actually a mechanical engineer. That's what I studied at university. However, in China, I teach math primarily. Also, I teach English here. So does my work influence how I wear my hair? No, they don't care how I wear my hair. They're always surprised because, as you see, I always have my hair in plaits, but if I come with my hair one day open, they are like, oh my gosh, and they're Chinese or whatever. So they're shocked by how much hair I have, and they're shocked that my hair is so curly, but they always give me compliments. They're like, oh my gosh, teacher, love your hair. So that's good. That's cool that they have a healthy respect for it. Also, some of the Chinese teachers tell me they wish they had hair like mine. Now, I have to say something. I've actually seen Chinese with hair that's textured to look like ours. That goes to show some of us are so busy trying to alter our hair to look like something else, and they're busy trying to alter their straight hair to look like ours. It's always an interesting dynamic to observe since I've been here. So no, I can wear my hair however I feel like, and it's no problem. Do you speak Mandarin? Yes, I do a little bit. Xiao. Do you have kids? No, I don't. I don't have kids. They also asked, if you do have kids, do they have natural hair? If I had kids, they will have natural hair. I grew up with natural hair all my life, so they're gonna have to deal with it too. That's what God gave you. Deal with it. Ooh, savage. So my girl, Trini Girl Natural, who I'm always harassing on Instagram, she said, tell us what got you into doing YouTube. Well, first of all, as you can see, if you look at my very first video, I was joking around. I was like, Dad, I was just home that day, and I'm like, what's around on YouTube, I'll put up a couple videos or whatever. It was always something that was encouraged, but I never really took it seriously, because when I think my younger sister, she told me, she was like, Ife, why don't you do a YouTube channel? This was back in 2010, I think she had mentioned it to me. And I'm like, who goes on YouTube? I'm like, that's not serious stuff. Fast forward a few years, not a few years, many years later, I decided, I'm like, you know what? So many people are asking me how you got your hair to grow. What did you do? And I was getting kind of tired of repeating the same thing over and over to so many people. So I decided to just stop joking around on my YouTube channel. I would just continue to put up videos and share with you all what I did and what I am doing and what I'm going to try on my hair. That's kind of my YouTube story in a little snippet. Someone also asked, is washing your hair in twists or braids a good idea? You can wash your hair in twists or braids, it's fine. As long as it's not too long term, as in months. I think 1 month of having your hair in twists or braids is good. It's just that after a while your hair will start to lock on itself and it becomes a little bit more difficult to unlock. Careful with that. Do you get single strand knots and how do you deal with them? Yes, I do. I do get them. I trim my hair ever so often so that I reduce the single strand knot. I don't leave my hair exposed to the environment like the wind, because that tends to cause a lot more single strand knots on my hair than usual. Fabiola said, so she asked, I would like to know how about your hair regimen while living in the Bahamas and Trini weather. The Bahamas weather and Trinidad weather is extremely different. A lot of people don't realize, and I also didn't realize this until I started living there and visiting. I didn't realize that Bahamas actually has a sort of winter climate. It doesn't snow there, but it gets freezing cold in the winter months. November, December, January. It's not very humid, so you actually have a break from humidity. In Trinidad, to me, it seems as though pretty much it's humid almost all year long, so it's quite a bit more to deal with. And I'll be honest, every time I go home, I do have a little bit of a struggle because I'm like, oh my god, sometimes I forget how humid Trinidad really is. I would suggest you use a lot of hydrating natural DIY mixes, especially with aloe. Aloe saved my hair, and my natural shampoo, well, it's really a deep conditioner, which I actually use as a shampoo. That's helped save my hair and retain moisture a lot in my hair. So those are a couple of things that I did that sped up my growth, one, and two, kept my hair hydrated and nourished. That's because of the intense heat and humidity. You want to ensure that your hair is completely nourished and gets a lot of natural and wholesome ingredients. I actually don't think I hardly used store-bought products in Trinidad compared to in the Bahamas. Alright, so Mrs. Francie Roberts, any recommendations for bald spots? Now, I think I was getting a little bald spot somewhere. I can't see on the camera. So my hair is a little bit of a balding, and I've seen that the fenugreek oil has started to slowly fill it in. That's one of the things. Two, you might want to do a nutritional workup, like a blood workup, to check and make sure you don't have any hormonal imbalances too. That's the other thing. That's what you should do first, actually. And then from there, attack and make sure that your insides are okay and in sync, and then go for your outside, your hair. All right. Why did you move Trinidad to the Bahamas? That's a good question. Why did I move? Well, my husband now, he was my boyfriend then. I was living in Trinidad. He had moved back to the Bahamas. He was living in Trinidad for a while. I moved for love. Don't do that ever. Yeah. But anyways, how long have you been married? I've been married for 5 years, just over 5 years. How old are you? I'm in my early 30s. And do I miss the Bahamas? Yes, I do. Well, let me be clear. I miss my friends in the Bahamas. I miss the easy access to a beach. The food was okay. It was cool. I don't miss the high cost of living. Ooh. Okay, that's all my questions for now. If I've left out anything, I hope I haven't. I hope I answered as much of your questions as I possibly could. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ife of Ife360 TV. Remember to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and see you in the next one. Ciao!